This video was sponsored by VC.Game.
Hello everybody, my name is Oliver Bass, otherwise known as Bass in the Past, joined alongside by none other than Pyro J, and this is the Esports.net Recap Show, a show recapping key moments and key events from around the world of esports in the last week. Pyro, we're kicking off today talking about esports in India. Esports in India is a rather interesting topic because it's one of the largest nations on the planet, but it's been having some struggles getting its footing into esports. It's been a lot of different factors that have made for this exact reason, but it kind of boils down to a couple of different topics based on what we've seen in the culture in India.
Yeah, there are definitely some reasons to be excited about esports and its development in India with the recent announcement of franchising in VCT for Valorant, right? That global esports representing India can bring this kind of international success presence from India in esports, something they've been really looking at, because you're right, in terms of the culture and what we've read some from our articles in esports.net is there are some examples like games just being banned in India for the political disinterest in them. Youth obsession got towards PUBG, so they banned that game and they credit it to, oh, well, there's Chinese servers as well that support the game, so we're not interested in this. So there's some hurdles back to get over in the country of India, but with this VCT franchising, with sort of the leaning over to mobile games, which are kind of more supported from a lot of players in India, there seems to be an avenue towards esports growth in India.
It seems like there is a lot of the right pieces as it stands right now, but unfortunately, like you said, because of the cultural shift there, because of the fact that also a lot of the country is without stable enough Wi-Fi to where they can actually compete in video games such as this, it has been difficult. In addition to that, it's also just expensive to play video games. The reality is most of the rigs that people are playing with in other countries cost thousands in India, and even more than that due to the taxes that they have currently put on. So it's difficult to try and find the barrier to entry, but I think you and I can agree if this is going to happen in India, it's going to be through mobile esports. That's the reality at this point, is that for a lot of these countries where they can't necessarily afford this, I feel like that's got to be the biggest avenue. I mean, I actually work for RLCS as a part of their APAC division, and within APAC includes India, and I've spoken to the players about this before, and from what I've heard for a lot of these guys, it is for the most part a somewhat gate-kept subject, if it makes sense, is that the people who are playing in APAC for RLCS are usually the players who are not struggling to try and build their rigs, that are not struggling to try and find enough money to get that barrier to entry or overcome it, if you will. So it is difficult for a lot of these people. It has to have some sort of catalyst to get them involved, and I feel like you said, with VCT, with even RLCS being involved in these regions now, that can be the catalyst. Seeing thousands of dollars on the line, that can be life-changing money for a lot of these players, but at this point, it's kind of difficult because you have to kind of justify to yourself, I'm going to not do blank other thing that could earn me money and take a risk on video games. That is so hard to convince to a generation who still kind of sees video games as barely a hobby, if even that.
And let's be honest, almost anywhere in the world, it's difficult to say, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to do this. And yeah, that spans different culture barriers for any country, really. And so, yeah, when we talk about India, you look at esports like Rocket League. And I would even look to esports that are up and coming in that country, like Pokemon Unite.
Yeah.
And like we said, Valorant. And maybe if they even pursue mobile options of those esports, there can be more interest, more cultivation of just that. So it's an interesting topic, but I'm glad EsportsNet wrote an article about this and wanted us to talk about this because it deserves the attention.
It absolutely does. The reality is I think that everybody right now is rooting for India and would like to see the success there. There's a lot of the right components. I mean, heck, I've even seen one of the best players in our RLCS APAC come out of India. Shout out to Abs Crazy back home. But we can't talk about India all day. We also got to talk about Modern Warfare 2. We've finally gotten some more info on Modern Warfare 2, and it looks like the first thing to come out here is going to be the campaign, which you and I have got some opinions on, but let's talk about what's actually, happening with Modern Warfare 2 first. Like we said, campaign going to come out just a little bit early, only a week, so it's not necessarily the longest amount of time, but if you can complete the campaign, you're also going to get a lot of bonuses for when multiplayer does come out. A calling card, an emblem, 30-minute double XP token, another 30-minute double XP weapon token as well, more calling cards, base operations, more tokens. As you can see, it's a long list, over about 10 different things here, including base of operations players, including even getting operators that you can play with within the game. It's huge. In addition to that, you can also get the Union Guard weapon blueprint if you complete the entire campaign, which is Captain Price's signature weapon. So there's a lot of rewards coming out of this campaign, but this is an interesting move from them, Pyro, to be putting out the campaign before the multiplayer.
I think some people are going to raise an eyebrow at that, for sure. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of players, and not just from the casual-based bass. There's professional players that are known for being the best in Call of Duty League, but having never touched the campaign. So when the game is out, when it's finally available, and all you have is the campaign, some people are gonna kind of shake their head at that, but I want to take the angle of, I think this is great. Okay, when I think of Call of Duty personally, I think of moments like Reznov, or Mason. What do the numbers mean, Mason? These are moments in campaign Call of Duty history that are permanently emblematic in my mind, just cemented as these strong emotional moments and stories in video games that deserve to be told, and so much investment that's put into the storyline that make me feel feelings, okay? A lot of people don't get that video games can do that, and yeah, sure, Call of Duty can be shooty, but it can also tug on the heartstrings. So I desire players to have been given the chance to play the campaign mode, and it's not useless if you don't care about the storyline. You get double XP positions, you get those operators, you get those guns. There's still a reward that goes along with this. That's why I appreciate this move.
I get the move. I do understand where you're coming from, and I feel like a lot of other Call of Duty folks are going to have a similar opinion to you, but from an esports perspective, I do actually have some concerns. I think my biggest concern here is that over the last couple of years, we have seen Call of Duty technically sort of fall out of relevancy, and it's not that it's not necessarily popular or that is irrelevant as a whole, but when you and I were kids, everybody's talking Call of Duty. You're going home and everybody's playing Call of Duty, and while Call of Duty has had somewhat of a grip on their fan base, it does feel like other avenues they have been slipping. It's no surprise, nor is it really a secret to anybody, but Call of Duty League has definitely not been seeing the same numbers as in years past. It really has started to fall off a little bit, and well, there's a number of factors here, but a lot of people have been saying that it is due to just the inconsistencies in these video games, and if you want to try and show a good product, you need to hit the ground running. It's surprising to me to see them putting out the campaign here when the goal is to try and hook as large of an audience as possible with this next game coming out, and they're starting off with what is arguably going to be the least popular mode in the entire video game. I would say that both the Battle Royale and Warzone and the multiplayer are going to outshine the campaign in terms of player base, so it's a bit surprising to me when Call of Duty feels like they finally get a refresh, they finally get a chance here, and what do? They basically go to their least popular mode. It's a very weird move to me, if that makes sense.
You could even argue that the zombies fan base of Call of Duty is more popular than the actual campaign mode, but that's because they're all introduced at the same time.
Yes!
And come on, if you have the option of just by yourself playing the campaign mode or getting in with your friends and playing online, you're gonna play online. That's why I support the movement of getting the campaign movement out. If we want to compromise, Bass, I'd maybe say do it for 2 or 3 days, not a full week. Okay, I think a full week's a bit much. Trust me, there's friends of mine that already called off work when Call of Duty releases to be able to stay up all night and play the whole game. Okay, they'll knock it out in 2 days. Don't worry, Call of Duty. So I'll compromise with you on that, Bass. Maybe instead of a week, maybe 2 days, 3 days.
Well, we're going to have to find out how successful of a move it really is. Call of Duty comes out very soon. It's going to be Modern Warfare 2. If you guys would like to get involved, there actually is going to be a pre-order right now, although it's not going to be a pre-order for that long. We got 3 more days from today until it comes out. On October 20th will be that release date. Well, we're going to have to find out how good the game is as well as the campaign, and then multiplayer in a little while. But that is all that we have got here today for Esports.net Recap Show. We want to appreciate you. We want to thank you guys again. Appreciate you tuning in here. Once again, my name is Oliver Bass, otherwise known as Bass on the Pass, alongside none other than Pyro J. And we will see you guys next time. Have a great week.
Thank you for watching. This video was sponsored by BC.Game, the award-winning crypto casino and sports betting platform, now also offering esports bets.